Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, November 7th, 5:27 a.m. Central Time. Grain markets are lower this morning. December corn futures down 4.5 at 472 and three quarters. January soybeans down 4.25 at 1359 and three quarters. December Chicago wheat down 4 at 571 and three quarters. December Kansas City wheat down 6.25 at 639 and a half. December spring wheat down 3 at 725 and three quarters. China's having some trouble with their corn crop the way it looks.
They sure are. Heavy snowstorms in China's northeastern region are impacting its soybean and corn crops. The unfavorable weather is delaying harvest while also making transportation and storage difficult. The cold and wet weather has caused farmers to hold off on selling their crops. As a result, China's corn futures have risen almost 1% since the middle of October.
I think people sometimes forget how big of a corn producer China is. China is the world's second largest corn producer. They're a distant second behind the United States. To put this into perspective, the U.S. This year's crop, 383 million metric tons ballpark, which is the second largest on record. China's going to be 277 this year. That's the most recent estimate, which would be the second largest on record for China as well. And then you've got Brazil, even a more distant third. So China's a huge corn grower. And this deal with snow and delayed harvest, is that something that in the United States would ultimately result in reduced crop size? Probably not. It just means delayed harvest. It means logistics issues. Farmers are not selling apparently in China, but I don't know if this is a market moving event necessarily. What would turn it into a market moving event would be if they decide to buy U.S. corn, which they have not done to any significant degree yet this year. So yeah, some China stuff in the headlines. Does this drive more Chinese imports? I don't know, because I just don't know that it hurts the size of the crop. But that's the story as of this morning.
According to Ag Rural, as of last Thursday, Brazil's 23-24 soybean planting was 51% complete, its slowest pace in 3 years. During the same week last year, 57% of the crop had been planted. Adverse weather conditions ranging from excessive rainfall to prolonged dryness have inhibited planting. Ag Rural also reported that as of last Thursday, Brazilian farmers had planted 66% of this season's first corn crop.
Okay, so the corn market doesn't care about this because, first off, corn planting is on schedule or ahead of schedule. And secondly, the first corn crop's only like a quarter of total production, and that's not the export crop. The export crop is the second crop, which is planted after soybeans. When you look at the weather, so it's less than ideal for the next 10 days. It's really dry in the areas that are too dry, and it's wet in the far south where it's been too wet. When you pull up the GFS and go out 16 days, there's substantially more rain in the forecast for a lot of your, say, central and northern soybean areas. Maybe the market's looking at that this morning and saying, you know what, we've got some rain in the extended forecast. It's all good. Maybe not. I don't know. My experience, generally speaking, is that any forecast beyond like 7, 8, 9, 10 days is not reliable. And this GFS in particular can be tricky, but maybe some relief in the extended forecast this morning.
So if you guys are not subscribed to our premium content, you need to check it out. Joe, can you tell me about the video you recently put together regarding carbon capture?
I did a long ad read yesterday. I'll do a short one today. Carbon pipelines. Illinois farmer Steve Hess from Western Illinois fought back against the Navigator pipeline that was going to go through his backyard, and they won the battle. It's not happening. It got shut down. If there's carbon pipelines anywhere near you guys, you got to sign up and watch this video. $50 a month. Cancel at any time. Next story, please.
So U.S. soybean shipments increased last week. USDA reported that 2.08 million metric tons of soybeans were inspected for export during the week ending November 2nd. The print was up 1.7% compared to the previous week, but down 20% versus the same week last year. Corn shipments declined 1% versus the prior week at 535,191 metric tons. Wheat shipments were poor, falling below pre-report estimates at 71,608 metric tons, down a whopping 64% compared to the prior week and 61% versus the same week last year.
Wheat shipments were so incredibly bad that Bloomberg had a piece on it. And for Bloomberg to write about like weekly wheat shipments is not something you see every day. They said it's a 20-year low. I saw somebody else say it was a 30 or 40-year low. In any case, it's absolute garbage, and wheat shipments were terrible last week. Soybean shipments look good at 2 million. We were 2.6 the same week last year. Accumulated soybean shipments, and soybean shipments are very important this time of year. This is prime time U.S. soybean shipping season. We were like 12.2 million. We were 12.83 last year. So we're a little bit behind last year's pace, but that's, I mean, 2 million. It's a good number. It's not the best number for this time of year, but it's good. I'm not going to complain about that.
U.S. soybean harvest is nearing completion. The crop was 91% harvested through Sunday compared to 86% on average. The U.S. corn crop was 81% harvested through Sunday compared to 77% on average. Only Michigan and Wisconsin have been running at a below average pace for both crops. Wet conditions in these northern areas have caused delays.
Yeah, it's really a northern issue, and they've had rain and snow and just nasty stuff. I mean, and again, to go back to what I said about China, I don't think it's anything that's going to hurt yields necessarily. It's just a giant pain in the ass if you're in those areas. What about wheat?
So, U.S. winter wheat conditions improved last week. The crop was rated 50% good to excellent compared to 47% the prior week and 46% on average. SRW areas in the Midwest are in much better shape than HRW areas in the U.S. plains, according to the report. Crops in the Northeast are more of a mixed bag.
Yeah, so the Midwest is in much better shape. Like Illinois, 73% good to excellent. Indiana, 73. Ohio's 81. Michigan is not good, 41% good to excellent. Then you go down to your HRW areas. Kansas is only 31% good to excellent, which I think is the worst of any state that they track. Oklahoma's 49, Texas 44. So yeah, a little bit of a difference there, which is not surprising given what's been like a multi-year drought in the Southern Plains, I guess.
USDA reported flash sales of U.S. soybeans and corn on Monday. U.S. exporters sold 126,000 metric tons of soybeans to China for delivery during the current marketing year. Exporters also sold 289,575 metric tons of corn to Mexico for delivery during the current marketing year.
Gosh, we'd really like to see some better numbers to China. I mean, it's great that China's buying soybeans, but it's a less than routine number. The corn sale to Mexico is good. Corn exports have picked up. We're actually above last year in terms of commitments, maybe a little bit shy of the pace needed to hit USDA projections, but it's very early. We've got a lot of time for improvement there. Cattle market kind of took it on the chin yesterday.
They sure did. Feeder cattle futures closed an average of $3.39 lower. Live cattle futures closed an average of $2.64 lower. Box beef was also down. Choice ended the day at 301.72. That was down 62 cents. Select ended the day at 270.36. That was down $1.65.
U.S. dollars up a little bit this morning in recovery mode. Stocks are off. The S&P's off 14. The Dow's off 100. Bonds off a little bit. Gold's down 18 bucks. Crude oil is down $1.35, and the December WTI at 79.47, back under 80 bucks this morning there. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you Wednesday.